This episode of the ECWM podcast has been brought to you by Benelli. Dominate the skies.
Kent Cartridge, Canada. High quality, high performance shotgun shells for waterfowl, turkey, upland, sporting clays, and more.
Sitka, turning clothing into gear.
Maritime dog training, because I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Offering obedience training of all levels, service dog and retriever training in person or online.
Big Owl Decoys, high quality silhouettes and accessories for waterfowl, turkey, and sandhill cranes.
East Coast Calls, offering high quality duck, goose, and turkey calls built right here in the Maritimes. Welcome, gentlemen, to the Waterfowl East podcast.
Welcome.
Howdy do.
We got Wesley here.
Matthew.
And Ben.
And on the phone, we have got Mr. Mike Holland. Welcome, Mike.
Good to be back, boys.
Should we say the Honourable?
Oh, yeah. The
Mike
Honourable
Holland?
Mike Holland.
Well, you guys.
And my wife is...
I'm just hiding.
Yeah, don't forget your wife, my man.
You didn't speak, so I...
That's all right. I'm good.
Well, and I was just going to say, Wesley is required to refer to me as Honourable. The rest of you guys, you can just call me Mike.
Oh, yeah. You asked for it. You're going to get Honourable all day, the whole time. So, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
So, Your Honor. To tell me that's not the first time you've uttered those words.
Yeah, true story.
Today, anyway.
So, man, obviously we got to have you on the podcast because the end of a major journey is coming near.
Yeah. No,
You made a large announcement.
I did. I appreciate you guys inviting me on because, I mean, you guys have known me since before I was elected all the way through, and to be able to come on and have a chat about the exit from the political arena is very much appreciated. Yeah, I did last Friday. A week ago, I announced that I wasn't going to. I'm not going anywhere at this moment, but I'm not seeking re-election when we go to the polls in the fall. So, yeah, that was an announcement. And you know what? I never gave notice when I left the job before, but this one seemed to take a little bit of attention.
Oh,
Definitely.
Everybody's sad about it, Mike.
Oh, man. It was Chris Buckingham told me, and my heart dropped when I heard that. I'm like, oh, man.
Wow.
You made such a huge impact.
Yeah, you really did.
Well, I appreciate hearing that from you guys. I mean, you folks are pioneers of our sport. I mean, you've been subject matter experts or people of credibility or people that we've consulted about our industry for a long time. So to have had a chance to participate and make things better and hear that coming from you folks, that really goes a long way. It means a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, again, Mike, I was telling somebody today, just your accountability and the fact that people could actually reach out and talk to you was huge. I mean, nobody does that.
No one has ever been in the public like that, open and just...
Here I am.
Here I am, open fire.
Yeah.
Like, man.
Yeah. Well, you be careful what you wish for. It's been 6 years of a tornado, but it was important to do that. And I'll tell you where that came from. I remember before I was elected, talking to some people about how federations and fish and game clubs, how they talk to the minister, and I was told they don't.
Right.
And I said, well, that doesn't make sense. How can ministers of natural resources make decisions about our industry without talking to the stakeholder groups? And then just shrugged shoulders and said they don't. And so when I got elected, I said, no, I'm not going to wait. Actually, the first week I was on the phone with all the federations, many of the fish and game clubs, and said, you know what? You haven't had access to the minister and or staff to the degree you should. So we just threw the door open. That first year I had 400 meetings that first year alone.
Wow. With
different groups. And so the good news is 6 years later, that's the trend. That's normal now. So these groups know that they can have access to the minister. They know they can have access to staff. And you know, instead of once a year talking about resolutions or whatever, our boardroom is every month for sure talking about changes, right? So I mean that was a good shift.
Definitely, 100%, man. It's just I've seen on Facebook some of the worst beatdowns and stuff, and I think a lot. I mean, obviously, not everybody's loves you like we certainly do, and agrees with you. But I'll tell you what, they might find out, whoever's elected next, that they've lost a real good thing.
Well, we come and go, and when I was being interviewed, I said, listen, we've had parliaments and legislatures for 250 years. There isn't one person that can say I was there at the beginning and I'll be there at the end. Yeah. And so it's important that we have to look at it like a relay race, and you walk in and you walk out. Question is, what'd you do while you were there? Yeah. And so that was the big thing that I wanted to make sure that we put some emphasis on. And we talk about social media, and I mean, there were some days where I just would have to shake my head, put down the phone, and go for a walk in the woods.
Walk away.
Yeah. But it's important for people to be able to have an ability to get something off their mind. I always said, if somebody's talking to you, whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent, you got a chance to do something or to tell a story. When people go quiet on you, then you're done. They just don't care anymore. So that's I always had to take the attitude of, this fella's got an interesting opinion. I don't necessarily think it makes sense or I agree with him, but it's good that people can share. The key is, now going forward, I could take it. I don't care. Yeah. Didn't matter to me what you said. Politicians suffer from the affliction of needing to be liked, and I didn't. But in the future, you might. So one of the things that I want our outdoor community to do is, and I've said this for years and years and years and years, people are watching us on social media. So how we act is important. And you can be mad, and you can fire a shot if you want, but we have to talk about being unified. We have to talk about being positive, and we have to talk about the fact that we're a legitimate segment of society. And so when you get the one-offs and stuff like that, that's all right. But as leaders in the outdoor community, and I plan to still be one going forward, we have to make sure that the narrative on these social media channels is one where you're not constantly cutting each other.
Yeah, that's right.
Cutting elected officials, because like I said, people watch that. And one of the things I had to overcome was people saying, well, why should we make changes? These guys can't get along with each other. Why would we want to do anything good for them? Because people are watching. So I push through. But if there's a more gentle soul that takes the chair, they can easily get intimidated into no action, and that's not what we want.
Yeah, it's a scary thought, is to have someone, I don't know who is going to run or who's going to take your place, but it's a scary thought of who might jump in there, and if they're going to be like you, they got big shoes to fill as far as hunters and outdoorsmen go. Like, man.
Well, and I make this claim publicly and have before. Whoever takes that job, they've got my full support. 100%. I don't care what party they're with. I don't care what background they have. And the first day I walked into my job, I wrote a letter to the next minister saying that. Yes. And so whoever that person is will have our support. Now they'll have to earn it, and they'll have to step up. But at the end of the day, they earn the support from the community, but they have mine off the hop. And my goal would be, you know what, if we're sitting here 5, 6, 10 years from now saying this person was the best ever, I would love hearing that, because it means the work continued. And that's what's most important.
Definitely, man. And like you said, it's about unity. I mean, that Facebook group, NB Hunters, is a prime example. We're all outdoorsmen. We might not all agree on everything together, but they all fight. It's the inner fighting is just insane. It's like, united we stand, divided we fall, and we're falling. Yeah. We're gonna fall.
And there's a lot of people on there. I mean, that is quite a platform as far as trying to reach hunters.
It is
in New Brunswick.
It's big.
And I mean, that's just human nature, that we're not all gonna get along on every issue. But you're absolutely right. Like, I heard this on a podcast yesterday. The thing that hurts outdoorsmen the most is the infighting.
Outdoorsmen themselves.
Not being able to be happy for somebody else's success. Throwing daggers at the way that,
That's a maritime tradition.
But I mean, right when you first get in there, Mike, I mean, people had to know that things were going to change. I mean, when you open that hunt
Oh,
fish
geez.
trap book. I talked about this last time we talked. I mean, there's everybody in their suit standing there. Nobody knows them. And there's Mike with his Facebook profile picture on there, his camo on and stuff. I'm like, hell yeah, this is going to be good.
Yeah, no, I kept every one of those fish and trap books over the years, and what I loved about it was you knew damn well when you opened her up, go right to the what's new for this year. Yeah. And that was like a line or two for years, and sometimes it took up a whole section. So we got some stuff done for sure.
Well, and we needed to as well, because I mean, you sit and you watch. I mean, our whole lives we've watched outdoor TV, and you see the things, the programs that some of these states have, and even other provinces have, and it's like, man, wouldn't it be nice if our kids could start hunting a little younger? You know, wouldn't it be nice if we could do this or we could do that? And just there was no talk about that. You might talk about it, like you said, maybe once a year, and that would be it. You know.
Yeah.
No, we did. Like I said, I mean, when you look back, and I've been doing a lot of looking back over the last week or so, and when you think about lowering the age for big game, even simple stupid things like changing the rules on hunter orange, caliber restrictions, expanding the Sunday hunting, a lot of things that were just stuff we leaned over tailgate and talked about for years.
100%.
And that's the best. That's the grassroots. What about this and what about that? Now, there's a few things that we look. What about this? And it just doesn't fit or doesn't work. But what I always wanted is if we weren't going to do something, we didn't just send back the Wildlife Federation a note that said no. Mm-hmm. We went back and said, at this time, because of this, help me get over this and we can talk. But right now, here's the issue. And so that relationship got built pretty good. So they knew that we were either going to get something changed, or if it wasn't, there was a legitimate reason why there was a concern over the resource or safety or something. And I always said, I can't do this because of, help me get over that and we can play ball. Mm-hmm. And so people felt like, they weren't just getting a Dear John letter and told to head off into the sunset. So no, that was important to communicate with the people. And so we did that on Facebook, and the amount of people that come up to me that are on Facebook hunting pages and say, you know what, I agree with you. I don't dare say anything for fear of getting ripped apart, but I want, so I have hope that there is a ton of people on there that are actually, taking in that. That's why it was so important, despite the foolishness sometimes, to get on Facebook and to share it, because there's people that aren't commenting but are appreciative of what's being done, and you just got to put up with the frequent flyers.
The silent majority.
Yeah. And my assistant, one time, I was having a particularly frustrating period with social media, and he went on and came back and said, there's about 14 people that make the comments.
Oh yeah.
That drive you crazy. And that made me think, well, then there's 14,000 that need to hear what we're talking about. So that's why I kept doing it.
Yeah. Because I think there's over 30,000 people in
30, yeah, there is. Yeah, it's a big group.
It's a big group. It's actually quite a platform. To be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of people that wouldn't comment, but see those things, and exactly like you said, would see in public and be like, "Hey, I read that thread."
They're the ones that's in there liking your comment.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to say anything, but they'll like your comment.
Yeah, so that tells me it's a valid platform, like you said, Matt, and I'm going to encourage future ministers to make sure they have a presence there for sure.
Oh, we've definitely got their backs.
And I got that exactly. So, like for example, if the next Minister of Natural Resources or any Minister of Natural Resources is from a political party that I don't share the ideals with, but they're on there trying to do something right, I'm behind them 100%.
Oh yeah, definitely.
100%. And I'll tell you, former Premier of New Brunswick, Sean Graham, Liberal Premier, and I'm a Conservative, every time I did something that was expanding the natural resources side, he was one of my strongest supporters. Mm-hmm. And I don't forget that what we do is so important that it has to transcend politics. It can't be about political parties, and I've worked pretty hard with the current opposition members to say, hey, the stuff we did needed to be done, and there's going to come a time where the government's going to switch.
Yeah,
and I hope that's not near future, or in the next election. But when it does, it's important to lay the groundwork to other parties that don't just change something because the other guys did it. If it's good, keep it and protect it.
Yeah, I just want to. I don't care what color they fly. I just want to see the betterment of outdoorsmen in the province. And
amen. Yeah,
yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
We all want we all want more opportunity. Everybody at this table wants more opportunity. But really, who I want more opportunity for is my kids.
Yeah,
and their kids.
Oh, yeah.
And we want a sustainable resource here forever, and we want opportunities to earn from people seeing New Brunswick as a destination again, like it was in Men of the Autumn Woods. People came here all the time. My grandfather was part of that. Like it can be that again.
Definitely.
But we just cannot sit here and say we're just not going to push that anymore. There's a sustainable resource there for people, and they want to come here, guaranteed, especially with the turkeys.
Yep.
They do. You go down to the south and talk to those guys. A turkey is a turkey, but if they haven't shot one in New Brunswick, they're gonna they'll crawl over the next guy to get here.
And you heard that we've expanded this year again to include non-resident tags.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm excited.
It's just more opportunity.
So New Brunswick now can offer a spring black bear, a spring turkey, muskie fishing. Even striper fishing if you want to do a little traveling. We have a unique menu in the spring for hunters and anglers that no other jurisdiction has in North America.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I've been preaching that for a long while. The opportunity here is just like you can hunt and fish like 365 days a year.
Yeah.
There's something on the list that you can go after. And good opportunities here.
And people that come here that haven't been here, like again, Sean Stahl, when he was up a couple of years ago, like he was like, I've hunted geese everywhere. And he's like, I've never hunted a place like this.
Yeah. Well, and then you guys are out there doing the promotion.
Yeah.
And bringing people to New Brunswick and sharing on your podcast and using your social media channels. And every year into the future where the work we did to protect lands and wetlands and expand conservation, it's only going to make it better. It's only going to make it better. I mean, one of the things that we did was we released our new forest management strategy in August. And it's a long document, so not many people read it. But we made that first step to do the doubling of the protected lands. That was a huge lift. And somebody told me the other day that it's the amount of 2 million football fields. So this being Super Bowl Sunday, we're taping this, so pretty appropriate day for it. 2 million football fields of preserved area in New Brunswick.
That's awesome.
And then so that was a huge lift, and it was phenomenal. But what's next? Well, with the forest management strategy that just went out, and I should send you guys a link to it. I've been going around to fishing game clubs talking, and not many people have had a chance to read it, but we made a couple of changes there that are going to be absolutely staggering. Now, to give you an example, going forward after this year's cutting season for the forestry industry, they're never going to be able to cut mixed piece of woods and replant it into single species.
Oh, wow.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing.
That's huge.
Like, exactly. Like that, when people talk about the expansion of biodiversity and ecological sustainability, making sure that mixed forest returns to mixed forest is staggering.
Oh.
And then add to that large trees, 40 centimeters or larger, have to remain on that. You can't remove them.
Good.
From that cut.
Holy cow,
That's awesome.
That's big.
So we protected about 120,000 hectares of old growth and deer wintering yards in that last round that were chosen by the deer instead of some goof like me. The areas where deer are wintering and old growth. And so add to this, if you cut an area and you leave those trees on it, that's tomorrow's old growth you're protecting today.
Right.
Yeah. Man, that's going to be like in 50 years, All
Yes,
this
sir.
plan right,
Yes, sir.
this plan right here is you're really going to see the fruits of this plan.
Well, from an ecological standpoint, I mean, this is something you really hear about from BC and the squeaky wheels out there. But with regards to New Brunswick, because we're so small and we have the opportunity to be able to have those interpersonal relationships, like you say, in Facebook, and we have the opportunity legislatively to be able to talk to each other and really have this open conversation, we can make those decisions. And that is a huge step forward with regards to preserving our natural ecology here.
Yeah.
You're right.
You're right. No, it absolutely is. I mean, it's going to take the Crown land footprint and turn it into an 80-20 model, where 80% of it is wildlife paradise, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And we're still going to be able to feed the machine.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. You talked about that last time.
Yeah.
I mean, post-war, I mean, from then until now, what's the change? You know what I mean? Because then you could shoot 2 deer. And it was no problem to shoot 2 deer because they were everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and now, you know, what's the change, right? So we need to.
Well, if we do stuff like that, Matt, like we're talking about, I see whitetail outfitting having an opportunity to return in 20, 30, 40 years.
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
I'm not going to benefit from it,
Right.
but I got a 3-year-old grandson that I'm pretty pumped about. You know, he's going to have a chance to do that. The kids that aren't even born yet are going to benefit from this.
Well, that's what we need to do as conservationists, right? I mean, good men plant trees that they'll never see the shade from, right?
Stand under the shade of, yeah, absolutely. You know what we're doing? I'm going to plant an oak tree on the property at my office, and I'm going to put that plaque up under it and commemorate that work, so that's gonna live beyond. That theme has to live beyond, and that strategy is going to include a plan that has an overall increase in mixed wood and hardwood. And I like that. Now we're still going to cut trees, boys.
Yeah.
Like
you got to cut trees.
You can't destroy the economy of the province.
Yeah.
But that's what a lot of people can't seem to understand. You can't just shut it down and you know, like, it's ridiculous. People got to live.
And so when, you know, are you still going to see areas that get cut? Yes. But what people see, what we've done is we've entrenched in our brain that if we see an area that's cut, we automatically assume that it's going to get leveled, planted, and treated with herbicide, and that's all it's going to be.
Yeah.
No, not the case. Not the case at all. 80% of everything that we cut in the province of New Brunswick will not have any form of a treatment, or it won't be turned into a farm. So I mean that's important. So, you know, people need to. We need to kind of change that paradigm that if you drive by a cut, look in that cut. Do you see if it was a mixed cut, that's what's going to come back. Look for the trees that are still standing in it. You know, like anyway. So that strategy, having that wrapped up in August was actually a pretty big factor in me saying, okay, my inbox is never going to be empty, but you know. What have we accomplished? And I went through everything that I wanted to do, and you know, we got a few little things to do here, but we did the major amount of my heavy lifting. So that's when I said, you know, I think we can stand on the job we did, and that's what led to my decision to say, time to pass torch.
You leave on a high
that was
point.
the moment when you decided that was back in August when that got put through. That's when you said, okay, my work here is done.
Yeah. Well,
for this chapter.
For this chapter, because that's the other thing. I ain't going away.
No.
For years before being elected, I wanted to see changes, and that's what led me to get elected. So I'm not all of a suddenly going to forget all the work I did when I wasn't a politician. Yeah. Now I'm equipped with some pretty significant knowledge about the way the place works inside government.
Yeah, to say the least.
You've also got some free training.
So what?
Yes.
So all that being said, what are your plans moving forward? Do you got anything you can share with us, or is it top secret, or what's your plan here?
No. I'm usually not much for secrets, but it was very important for me when I left this job to not have another job waiting for me, because that would just feed the frenzy that oh yeah, well, he just used this job to get his next job.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely, I do not have a set position that was waiting for me when I made that decision. But that being the case, I mean, I've jumped out of a lot of airplanes and built a parachute on the way down, so I'm not too worried.
That's a good saying.
We'll try this.
I think this will work. Head first.
I joke a lot that this was kind of really the first job I ever had. I've always worked for myself before, and in one way, shape, or form. So my expectation will be have a chance to get back. I'll tell you, one of the things that kind of roasted me over the last 6 years is that I had my company, Resourceful Redneck, and we were doing good. You know, we were getting launched off, we were moving, and I still have a huge folder full of inventions that are in my head. And over the last 6 years, I saw 2 of them go to market.
Really? Jeez.
And that just killed me.
Ooh.
It just killed me.
Yeah.
So you know, that folder's still around, and I don't think that day is done. A lot of the work's been done to lay the groundwork for that. So I mean, I still have a bunch of foolish inventions that I'd like to see come to market, and I'm a self-employed guy, so I expect to do that. I'd like to do some work also with communications and media work, because that's I see media as a way that can make you or break you, whether if you're trying to get a message out, whether that be media for organizations within the outdoor field or other areas. But you know, media's changed a lot. You know, used to be, you know, you'd make your money by selling advertising. Now it's done by selling clicks.
Yep.
And it's a different world out there. And if you're trying to get a message out there and you don't use the right language, you're going to become the victim of a headline.
Ben is nodding his head in agreement with everything you've just said.
Yeah. So that's been fascinating for me. And, you know, I think that one of the things I had to learn real quick was how to handle a microphone. And I don't say this with any level of disrespect, but, you know, reporters would love to get you so that you know,
that's their job. That's their
job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And politicians haven't known, well, you know, left hand from the right hand in years gone by. I'm not saying that it's poor politicians. A lot of us walk around with no clue, worried mostly about what we're going to have for lunch, not what we're doing. And media, you know, if you don't know your stuff, then they're gonna give you an awful run, and you deserve to have a rough run. But for people that are sincere and want to do good things, some media training go a long way to help them make sure that the focus is on their message, you know, not necessarily on a headline, and how to ensure that your message gets through in all the noise of microphones and all sorts of stuff. So, you know, that's been fascinating for me, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, I had the privilege to not only work on the DNR side, but I mean, I've traveled the world on the energy side, and there's some fascinating things happening in the world as it relates to how we're going to power our future. So, you know, there's some exciting stuff there, and the most important thing is that I have the flexibility to do it, where I can, you know, spend as much time as I can with Allison, who doesn't live, like, we don't live together. She lives in Nova Scotia. I live in New Brunswick. Yeah. And it's pretty hard to be the Minister of Natural Resources for New Brunswick and live and work down here. So,
yeah, definitely,
you know, we'll see. So, we'll see is the best way. I got a few ideas about what I want to do, but one of the things I'm going to do diligently is make sure that the work that we've accomplished continues. And you know, I want to come alongside our fishing game organizations, our trapping organizations, outfitting and guides. There's some explosively powerful things happening on the outfitting and guide sector. Anything I can do to use what little knowledge I had to keep the wheels moving on that, 100%. So I'll be busy. I wondered how old I look, though, because when I made that announcement, everybody said happy retirement. I was like,
well, that's I knew you weren't that old. You're not a whole lot older than me, but I mean, so you still got a lot of life left in you yet, and that's what I was wondering. Like, are you just gonna?
You never know where.
Are you gonna keep the hammer down with something else, or just?
I'll tell you what, if the election's called in the fall, there will not be anything prevent an obstacle for me going out and enjoying some time in the field this fall. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Don't. If the election's called in September, try to get a hold of me somewhere around December, because I'm going to take I'm going to take a little stretch there and actually enjoy a hunting season, because this job's really prevented that. So
that's the tough part about it, right? There's an amount of sacrifice there to be involved in a job like that I don't think the general public would always sort of appreciate, in the sense that, you know, like, you actually love to hunt and fish.
Well, you're an outdoorsman first.
So to take that passion and say, okay, somebody's got to kind of be the lamb here that's going to have to take up a lot of their time. And I think anytime you put yourself in that sort of position, it takes some of those liberties away. If you're having 400 meetings a year, that's not always from a duck blind, you know.
No, it's not. So I always took heart in the fact that I'll put hammer down to make all these changes, and then those changes will be there so that I can enjoy them when I'm done. That's what I said.
Long-term gain.
Yeah, delayed gratification. But no, that's the fall. The fall is going to be a time of a little bit of relaxation, and then bring on 2025. We'll see what goes on.
That's good. I like that you're kind of keeping it open.
Yep.
Don't know
Absolutely.
for sure what you're going to do, but you're definitely going to do something.
Well, you need to spend some time in Woodstock, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you. I know that you're busy, but it's always an open invite. You know?
We have camps.
Yeah, we have beds.
And if my catch and release shooting doesn't impress you, my cooking certainly will.
That sounds like a good deal.
Yeah. So some camp time this fall, that's in order for sure.
Yeah.
100%. You'll have to show me if you want to come up this spring bear season too.
Yeah, well, I do. I want to get up there and see that, because, you know, I'm going to try to get around to a lot of the outfits, because we just touched on it briefly, but we've just seen an absolute explosion in opportunity for the outfitting and guiding sector. And I'm very committed to making sure that goes from where it's at to really entrenching us. Like, I've seen some stuff happen there where, you know, there's people from New Mexico, New Jersey, New Zealand that are going to hear about New Brunswick now, because that sector is becoming so outwardly focused. Yeah. That, you know, instead of saying, you know, what's in it for me as a guide, what's in it for me as an outfitter, and hammering stuff back and forth with government, that's all important and needs to continue. But having an emphasis on a market-ready strategy to go forward and show the world what we have, you know, we went out and made all those changes. It's going to make things even better. Right. And now come to New Brunswick, because it will blow you away. And that's, you know, that's very exciting. Very exciting.
It needed all of that stuff needed to happen, right? To open the door to be like, man, these guys got a lot of stuff going on. We have the new guide.
Did we even talk? Did we mention that in the last podcast? The new. So
no,
they're in New Brunswick. Yeah, there's in the podcast last 2 weeks ago. I don't think we mentioned
about the guide and outfitter.
Yeah, did we mention that?
I don't know if we talked about that or not, but that needed to happen, right? And the way that it's kind of spouted off, like,
let's talk about it.
We're all involved, right? Like, I'm involved on the waterfowl side now on that committee, and
I'm on the upland committee.
Yeah. So that's great to have those subcommittee, right? Have those subcommittees and have those specialties, because I mean, again, like I say, I feel like the last time there was a real big push and everybody was banded together like this was probably from those books, men of the autumn woods. They took it serious. Well, they did. They went to the shows. They took it serious, and there was a lot of people coming here.
What I like about it is I like the friggin' unity, man. Like, I've been a guide and outfitter for a guide for a long while, and just within the last 3 years became an outfitter. And man, like, just the unity within this group and all the outfitters wanting to work together for the betterment of everybody, not just, holy crap, I'm going to do this to get myself, but you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Everybody wants to work together and
I hear
better.
Absolutely, and when I'm in the midst of hearing, I hear we, us together, not I, me, my, and that right there is what knits an organization together, because you're going to have challenges in your outfit, and all have good times in mind. And if we're all linked together, then that means it's a team that'll come together and help us all through, instead of worrying about stepping over the other guy to make sure that I get taken care of. And everybody's worried about their own business, of course. Having an organization like an umbrella that's outwardly focused on all of us, government, because and that's a key component, like the Department of Tourism, my department. We were there, and at that trade show that they had, one thing I noticed that not many people would notice is the amount of citizens from the government, from many different departments, that were walking around in there.
Yeah,
the eyes the size of pie plates, right? So the message that sends is that, you know, we're and ready to go, and I see the work. Every cut is about how can we take somebody who's not from New Brunswick and introduce them to what we have here, and that's going to amount to increased sales. And this is what I've been beating for 6 years, is because I sit around tables with suits and ties that don't understand us,
right?
Man, and they understand the language of money.
That's
so
right.
Go ahead, Wes.
For me to go in there, like I said, as an outfitter and a young new outfitter, to walk in there and then to have guys like Clay Harrison and all that come up and just like, man, like, you're doing good. Anything you need, like, you speak up and let us know, like. And just knowing that people got your back, and we're all going to work together for everybody to finally get New Brunswick and hunting and outfitting and guiding to where it should be.
Well, we don't want to be. It needs to be unified, right? And any time that there's revenue involved, like, definitely some people can go the other way. But if everybody's like, look, we have a resource here. Everybody can do well if we stick together. It's proven that if you stick together in any sort of group like that you'll do well. Yeah. You know what I mean? And in New Brunswick, in this part of Canada, anytime you see outdoor shows and stuff, we're just kind of like what's east of Ontario? Anything?
The ocean?
Or
Newfoundland,
yeah, a bunch of Newfies over there. I mean, but we have such a huge, unique opportunity. I mean, look, Blood Origins the other day Blood Origins Canada put out a thing there, like the bear density map.
Yeah.
No place.
We're the highest.
Yeah, no place was denser than New Brunswick. But
Brunswick was highest.
We knew that, and guaranteed other people are looking at that going, holy shit, where's New Brunswick?
Exactly.
What's that all about?
Exactly.
You know, I mean,
like,
people know, but we have something pretty darn special here.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and now we have an organization that's committed to going to venues throughout North America and saying, here's where we are,
right,
and here's what we do. And that's gonna translate into a benefit to the sector. So
that was really needed. Like, I'm super excited as a guide service, not an outfitter, but a guide service that that works with an outfitter.
Oh yeah, exactly. You're bringing tons of business in for Ryan.
And they were smart. They were smart too, because they brought in a recognizable name like Canada Ruff. They brought in Keith, and Keith stood there and said, "You've got more amazing opportunities here in New Brunswick than just about anywhere I've ever seen." I mean, it's one thing for me to say it. Everybody kicks me and says, "Oh no, you're not. You're just blowing your own horn or whatever." But to bring in those third parties from outside the province to endorse what we have, don't believe me if you don't want, but here's somebody else that's saying it, and then it carries more weight. So,
well, again, you look at a guy like Sean Stahl. Like, Sean Stahl has been in the waterfowl industry.
He's one of the biggest names in waterfowl.
One of the biggest names in the waterfowl industry. Literally hunted all over North America. If you could shoot a Canada goose somewheres, he's been there to do it. And when he came here, he was like, "Holy shit! Like, this place is friggin' like, I've never hunted any place like this. This, you guys really got something here. This is awesome."
Mountain geese.
Mountain geese, and still talks about it, right? Like,
Well, the future's looking good now. Going forward, we gotta talk about the fact that and folks have said, great, Mike did a good job. Thanks a lot, appreciate it. But what we have to do as a sector, outfitting and guiding sector, fish and wildlife sector, trapping sector, podcasts like this, the work that you guys do to promote the province, we have to make sure that we continue to put pressure's probably not the right adjective to use, but we have to continue to make sure that our provincial government knows that we want to take what's been done and build on it.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that message doesn't, because if I came in, did some stuff and then left, and then the momentum went away, that's no good.
No.
We can't do that.
No.
We can't do that.
Well, now that we got the association, we can keep the hammer down on whoever gets elected and be on their side and try to encourage them and still work for the greater good of New Brunswick outdoorsmen. Oh.
And can you hear me?
Yeah, we're losing. You're breaking up a little bit there, Mike.
Yeah, turn your ear to the window a little bit more.
How's that? I didn't move.
No,
There,
you're
you're
good.
good now.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about tourism and the evolution in the Department of Tourism that's been very positive. But one of the things that I've worked on, and you know, you never saw this in a press release, but the staff at the Department of Natural Resources are on fire right now. They've never been so excited because, quite frankly, we made 300 changes in the last 5 years. They're on fire. They're excited.
Yeah.
They're coming into work saying, "What's next? What's next?"
Yeah.
So there's been a cultural shift in the Department of Natural Resources, and we position staff to be in key positions, so that they've embraced that possibility of change and possibility of opportunity to the degree that I will leave, but the next minister that comes in, that's what they're going to walk into, that culture of we're happening here. Let's keep this going. So the relationships within staff is crucial, and we're going to need to make sure that as leaders in the outdoor community, we are organizations that have opportunities to get into government. We're going to have to continue with podcasts like yours to reach out and tell people that we're on the move and we're not stopping.
And I think we want to have some of these people that are making moves come on the podcast and just tell us what's going on and get it out there, get the word out there to people so they can hear that.
Absolutely. Guys like you should be reaching out to whenever the dust settles after the next election, whoever the Minister of Natural Resources is, whoever the Minister of Tourism is, reach out to them and say, we want to give you a platform to talk about what you think is possible going forward, stuff like that. You folks have incredible influence and impact. And I mean, we're buddies. So you call me and say, you want to come on the podcast? 100%. I'm in. But we need to continue that work to make sure future elected officials have an opportunity to see that you don't bite and you're here to help them.
Exactly. And that's
them
the
a
key,
platform,
man, is whoever does get elected next is like, we're on your side, man. Let's work together to make this great and continue to grow and become better.
What would your advice be, Mike, to the next minister that comes through? Any advice for them?
Well, like I told you, the first day I was there, I wrote a letter to the next minister that's coming. And it was pretty simple advice. I wrote in there, one section of the letter, it says, if you approach everything from a chance to expand and grow, you don't maintain anything. You're either building or you're losing. You don't maintain. So you have to continually work with your staff to find out what is the sector, what is the industry, what are the stakeholders that they need. And run through the lens of what if we did it? Why not? And if you get to the other side where you can figure out a path to do it, then go for it. You want to be a minister that is moving forward, not a minister that signs documents in a book that were prepared for them. Be a leader.
Yeah.
Grab it by the horns. If you don't know it, find the experts that are there. But leave your mark on this ministry as somebody that continued to build upon a significant amount of work that was done.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Work with good people, make decisions, and be confident when you present it. And stand behind your decisions, and they'll do well.
Yeah. And I'm all excited about it. I'm excited about the future.
You're breaking up again.
Oh. Let me just turn a little bit there.
It cuts in and out every once in a while.
Okay.
Oh, you're clear as
Got
a
me
whistle.
now?
You're clear as a bell now.
I'm standing in the middle of my living room. So there you go. And for a guy that has attention issues like me, that's pretty significant. You guys got me to stand still for longer than anybody else, so
Yeah,
I can't even get a haircut.
So do we win something for that, or what's the deal there? I mean, that should be worth something.
You wait until you see what I roll out for you to eat in the camp. I'm telling you,
that'll be worth it then, for sure. Absolutely, can't wait. You just say what you need there, and we'll have her ready.
Now, I usually wind up, I got about 400 pounds of some sort of meat at any given time, so I'll have a, don't ask what it is, just eat it party.
Well, that's one thing I am definitely good at. I can throw down the food.
I made pecan sandwiches there not too long ago and got people to eat them before I told them what it was. And then after they ate it and said it was wonderful, they had a hard time feeling like they wanted to be sick afterwards. But hey, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's good.
So I think there's going to be good days ahead. I think that with guys like you out there, guys and gals like you out there, and the excitement in the Outfitting Association, the New Brunswick Wildlife Federation, such unfettered access to the ministry. We get a real opportunity. I did my piece with the baton, and now I think that we got a good opportunity to speak to the movement. I think that we need to close out every year with progress. And I'm committed to that, even though I'm leaving, and I know you guys are too. So I think
like
we'll
I said,
see.
we've got the hammer down, and we're going to continue to do so. We have goals and aspirations and things we'd like to see for ourselves and the province and everything, and we're going to give her everything we got to see it through.
Well, let me ask you this. I'll throw it back to you guys. I got 8 months left.
Yep.
In 8 months that I got left, what do you want me to do?
I got a couple ideas here. I got one idea that I'd really like to see, and maybe it would be good to start with guides and outfitters. In other provinces and all of the United States, hunters and outdoorsmen have access to landowner information right on their phones through Onyx or maybe some other apps possibly. I would love to see us be able to get access to landowner information. Just
working on that right now.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I have a good contact too with Onyx, who just launched Onyx Canada. I can literally get a hold of the guy from there, and I mean that.
Yeah, you should. Within service of Brunswick and the mapping and the PIN numbers and all that.
Oh, can you repeat that? You broke up again.
Yeah, you're getting quite sticky. You might have to walk around for a sec, Mike, and pick another spot or something.
Tell me what we're doing now. How we doing?
Oh,
we good?
It goes clear and then breaks up. So we'll start over. Like I said, I have a contact with Onyx. We've already been in contact about it, and we can definitely put the government in contact with him towards that if that's something that would be helpful.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Nope. Just keep on.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we could hear you a bit there.
Geez, I haven't moved a whole lot.
I don't know what's going on.
That's just the way it goes with those towers sometimes. It doesn't seem to make sense.
You know what it is? It's a friggin' aliens. They're messing with our progress.
You put your armadillo hat on.
Yeah.
Put your tinfoil hat on. Can't hear you at all now. Jeez.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's no problem.
I wonder if he hung up and then called back.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because it worked well for a long while.
Yeah, I was same phone the whole time, but
yeah, it's broken up here for some reason.
Well, why don't I call back and try again?
Yep, we can do that.
Okay, I'll call you right back.
Yep.
In fact, I'm gonna call from a different phone.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
During this commercial break,
maybe we should thank our sponsors: Kent Cartridge Canada,
Benelli Shotguns,
Big L Decoys,
East Coast Calls,
Marcia Milko Outfitters,
Maritime Dog Training,
Homegrown Studios Inc.
Who am I forgetting?
We're forgetting somebody. Oh.
Unknown caller.
Oh, he called and then stopped.
Big Kent Benelli Sitka gear.
Sitka gear. I can't think because I'm looking. There we go.
There he is.
There, let's try that.
Let's try that.
We just did a sponsor break there, so that worked out good.
Okay, right on. How's this going?
Well, it sounds good so far.
Okay.
Oh,
Nope.
breaking up a bit.
I was just looking and hardly at all. Just sitting in the house.
You've got hardly any bars, you said?
Yeah, no. Nothing's working here.
Might have to go outside, stand on the roof.
Well,
Don't do that. We don't want you to fall off.
I'm just moving around the house to see where we're getting better church. Anything better there?
Do you have AirPods in?
No, I don't have AirPods. I can just get the phone in my ear.
No, we can sort of hear you, but not great.
That's horrible. This is like the other phone I picked up wouldn't even connect.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good solid 30 minutes at least of good, clear talking.
Yeah.
Frig. Maybe, maybe we'll have to just plan for a part 2 when we've got some good cell phone service. Because if we can't get
it. I can get up in the truck and I'll do that.
Yeah, try that.
Yeah, just give that a try.
It might be a little more grounded.
Give that a try, and if not, we'll just call you some other time and have another chat.
Might have to come down.
For sure.
Might have to come down to the office.
Or, yeah, maybe we could meet in person.
Something like that. Well, let me try that. Bluetooth, and then we'll figure out plan B if that doesn't work.
All right.
Okay.
Just 2 minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, Ben?
Not that I can think of right now. Do we have any sponsors to
we
recognize?
We recognized a few. Yeah.
Ours. Just trying to make sure we didn't friggin' forget any.
No, I think we got them all.
Did we? Good.
Pretty sure.
I have a terrible memory.
We thanked all our personal businesses. That was good.
Yeah.
We should promote our personal brands like we talked about, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Follow each of us on social media, too.
Yeah.
We're all
Follow
starting
each
to
of
do
us on
some
social
interesting things.
Yeah. So what's your Instagram and Facebook, Ben? Is it just Homegrown?
Homegrown show for most stuff, I believe it is.
I don't really believe that you've ever stopped doing interesting things. Every time I open my social media, I never know if you're going to have a shirt on or be in your
He's the
underwear.
Shirt on,
thing I
pants
see in the
on, who
or
knows?
what you're going to be
the first
doing.
thing I see in the morning and the
Every
last thing
day.
when I go to bed.
Every day. I'm like, what's
Whether your
gonna
eyes
be
are open or
You're
closed.
consistent like the sun.
Yeah. His neighbors are well aware.
Actually, I'm the first thing that pops up when you Google Homegrown Show. I am like the top 10 results right now.
Really?
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
That is good.
That is good. That's really big.
That's awesome,
That's
man.
super cool.
And I'm hoping to use the opportunity to be able to promote more of what we do because it's something that I have because we've been trying to stay relatively PG and I'm starting to move it to like the PG-13 stuff with regards to hunting and blood.
We talked about cock today.
Yes, I was cocking my building.
I went down and filmed for Ben today.
I got white sticky cock all over my hands today.
Caulking.
Kelking.
Caulk.
I cannot say cock, so I say kelk. Oh, here's Mike again. I'll try her out. One more time. The Honourable Mike Holland. There we go. Let's try that.
How's this?
Well, there's dinging in the background.
Sounds like he's sitting in a Ford.
Like
That's your seatbelt.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Well, that's better.
That does sound sound better.
Okay, well, we'll give that a shot, folks.
Awesome.
Yes. Okay. So I had mentioned about Onyx, and I talked about having, even for a start, outfitters and guides having easier access to landowner information, especially with the new rules that just come into place.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit because for us as waterfowl hunters, especially, like there was a couple questions I had as far as the trespass laws and having permission. Is that for agricultural lands or is that for everything? That's question one.
So it's for agricultural lands, not forested lands.
Okay. So
And I'll let you just keep drilling down into it from there.
Yep. So agricultural lands. And does that have to be written on paper or can that be through text?
Well, I had this question posed to me 2 nights ago at a fish and game meeting, and I believe that I don't like to say I don't know, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well,
but at the end of the day,
we haven't been able to find out yet for sure.
No, well, I put that down on my to-do list to find out. But here's the deal, guys. I mean, if you have permission and it's permission via text, you're not going to get in trouble. Yeah. Because the only time you're going to get in trouble is if a landowner calls on you that you're on their land.
Right.
And if you've got their permission, they're not going to do that. So from a practical perspective, you're going to be okay. It's about, and you guys particularly, by you guys, I mean waterfowlers. For the vast majority, you've all got permission. Nobody goes and sets up to hunt waterfowl legitimately without having permission anyway, right? So
yeah, I'm glad you added that legitimately in there, because I was going to say
legitimately. No, it's a good thing, because there are some bad apples out there that are doing some stuff without permission, and it's frustrating. It for
frustrating for everybody. I mean, we've well, I could go on about that, but I do have another question before I forget. So in that instance, if it's we'll say myself and 5 or 6 other people, is it just me that needs to have permission, or do they all need written permission?
Yeah. What if permission is granted? It goes to all associated in the hunting party.
Deadly. Okay, that's perfect. Good. Yeah. No, that's good. I understand why you did it. I just, we're always trying. We never want to get hung up on some sort of technicality.
Well,
by
the
saying
details of the law weren't really laid out, so there's a lot of gray area. Like
the
way it read, it sounded like we were going to have handwritten permission for every single field we were going to go into, and I mean that could be 2 or 3 a day.
Right.
Like for myself as an upland hunter, like. And
well, you guys know where you hunt.
Yep.
And the day you go hunting is not the first day you've gone scouting.
No.
Yeah.
So I mean that homework's all done well before opening day.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. And like I said, folks like yourself, this is going to be a formality.
Yep.
It's not meant to be an inconvenience of the legitimate ones, but it's meant to catch the run and gunners and all sorts of stuff that's given us a bad name, quite frankly.
Well, for sure, because I mean we've had this conversation a lot, and I know Jason McLean for sure. Like he gets quite frustrated in the fact that he's got no teeth, right?
There's no landowner protection here.
No, he's trying and I own land as well, and I mean I'm like, if somebody, we've hunted with Sean before upriver, who's a large farmer here, and works hard, has a lot of land. When he gets a chance to go, he really enjoys and appreciates it. And several times, not last year, but the year before, we'd show up to scout a field, and there'd already be somebody sitting in it. Yeah. He's like, they never talked to me, but what do you do, right? So at least now. See, before, nothing. Couldn't do nothing. Because the onus was always on the landowner. And now, if you're on that land, it's a ticketable offense. Right.
Bottom line, no questions asked.
As it should be.
If you don't agree, you can fight it as the one that gets a ticket instead of the landowner having to prove it. Right. So we finally put control back in the hands of landowners for sure.
Yeah.
That's good. And I mean, that's the way it needs to be. Like landowners need protection of their own property, right? Like you shouldn't be able to just go and free for all, and because that's what happens here. People just go and tear shit up without a care in the world because they know they're never going to get in trouble.
It wasn't even us hunters exclusively either. I mean, you had farmers that were planting and then 4-wheelers were ripping through it and all sorts of stuff. So it's a good move. I will get to the bottom of the technicality on text message, but at the end of the day, the guy that's giving you a text message that says come and hunt is not going to call the cops on you. So you're okay.
No, we just wondered if we were to get checked by DNR.
I'll find out.
Well, that's the biggest thing. Like if we're in a field, and I mean we do always have permission, but I mean, can they just roll up and say, "Hey, where's your permission slip?" Or is it going to be basically if a landowner calls and reports something, that's who's going to get in trouble? Like,
we didn't know whether it would be routine, like
exactly.
A license check or what. And I mean, I'm sure they would. I don't know.
Well, I will get to the bottom of it because I don't like things that are like hanging bags or confusion. So I'll get it figured out.
And is this going to be handled by DNR or will it be RCMP trespass?
It'll be
or both.
Well,
I doubt you'll see RCMP do a great deal of it, but it'll mostly be conservation officers.
Right.
And that'll same as checking your gun for lead and all that stuff, basically.
Right.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was a question or two I had about that stuff.
Any rules or laws or anything you want to see changed or talked about?
No, actually, no. That
what
was,
about a waterfowl guide only being allowed to guide 3 people, even though they're all standing right beside him?
Yeah, that's something I have talked about in the past, and I know that that's kind of a singular deal. Like any place else I've guided, like Ontario or Alberta, like in Alberta, you can guide as many people as you want.
What for waterfowl? For
waterfowl, but you can't shoot. In Ontario, you can guide as many people as you want, and you can shoot. And I think in PEI, I haven't guided there, but I know that their guides can at least carry a gun. I don't think they carry a limit or anything, but that wouldn't be as big a deal for me because I don't need.
Well,
I mean,
if you're a guide and you're guide,
but
right?
I mean, and you're going to have somebody hired anyway. But the ability to say, hey, we're done shooting. You go ahead and leave the field and go scouting, and I'll be here with these guys.
Well, here's the deal.
Without breaking the law, right?
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
You got clients rolling in. Your guide gets food poisoning, and he can't make it to the. Like, what are you going to do at 3 a.m. when you got 6 clients showing up in the morning?
Right. Yeah.
Like, you're legally in shit, but what the hell are you going to do?
We take it pretty serious. We don't want to ever any of these technicalities or anything like this. This is always, and we assume that people would be rational, but at the same point, we don't push the envelope or the line at all. So in that instance of just having the ability to be there with people, non-residents, without another guide present, that would be good. I mean, again, that person is still going to have a job and still be there, but if they needed to leave, if they couldn't make it, if something happened, you're left, right?
Shit happens.
If it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden Steve calls and says, "Hey, I put my vehicle off the road. I'm all racked up, or I'm sicker than a dog. I can't get out of bed. Like, I'm stuck, right? I don't."
Well, send that to me, boys. Send that to me.
We will send that in a formal email to the Honourable Mike Holland.
Boy.
When you said the other day, just send that to my secretary so she'll put a reminder in there. I was like, how should I word this email? Should I word this like I'm talking to Mike?
Somebody else is going to read this.
Or is she going to be like,
yeah, I can just imagine.
Somebody sent you an inappropriate email, Mike, just so you know.
I can just imagine what mine looked like coming across.
There's nothing that you boys could send me that won't top the greatest hits list I have of emails I've gotten over the last 6 years. Trust me.
Yeah,
I bet.
About that.
I bet. Some colorful language and words.
You guys are tame compared to some of it. So
that's good to hear.
Jump back to the Onyx stuff there. Yeah, I'd like you to put that person in contact with us because of the trespass laws and all that. I want to have. We've been working on landowner registrations and how we can make that possible so that we've got this trespass law here in effect. So if somebody sees something, that's great. They know they got to get permission. That's great, but the missing link is where do I go from here?
Yeah. How do I find out who owns that?
Even if they did it as a trial where you get a login name and password to kind of like the real estate agents have, and government they have a login and they can go on to like we go on to Geo New Brunswick. I can't remember what that's called, but
GONB.
Well, they have something else besides Geo. It looks like that, but besides the PID numbers and all that, it also has the title holder name on there. And I mean, even the name of who owns the land would be
just something to go on. Yeah, no, that'd be good.
It'd offer that much more accountability, right? Yeah. I mean,
then there's no reason you shouldn't have permission because you can find out who owns it right here on your phone.
Yeah, and everybody has some sort of map system like that they, you know what I mean?
Well, and if you don't, it's time to step into the 20s.
Right, with pins on it, and everybody's hunt stand or something everybody's using. So
because there's also a lot of incorrect information out there from neighboring landowners. Because if you don't know who owns it, that's what you do. You say, "Hey, show them this field here. Who owns? Oh, that's owned by so and so." Well, then you find out, and it's like, okay, that actually isn't owned by them. Right. They farm that land or something like that, but you don't actually truly have landowner permission.
Somebody gives you permission to hunt land, and they don't have the right to do it.
Yeah, right. And you don't have any. You're taking them for their word, so
yeah.
Well, I'll do that. I'll get a hold of Ben this week and get him in contact with the government and the forces that be here to get that changed. Because if we could have something like that for fall or whenever, that would be huge for us.
Yeah, well, I got 8 months left, but I'm going to treat every day like it's the first day of a 4-year term, so I'm not slacking off.
That's good, man. You're hammered down from start to finish.
Anything you're working on in these last 8 months that you can tell us about?
Yeah, there's a couple little things here and there. I'm working through the system right now to put raccoons and squirrels, gray squirrels on the varmint license.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Man, raccoons.
Ben's going to start dancing.
Well, raccoons would be huge because this fall we talked to DNR, and they told us about a trapping thing they did up here. And how many friggin' raccoons was it they got in like 2 days?
They caught a lot.
Wasn't like
it was 100. It was like there's
insane.
So many.
Oh yeah, there's
crazy amounts of raccoon. And this was just one little area that they did it, and it was crazy, an insane amount.
Oh yeah.
So,
I know. And there's an ecological reason for it too. And that's one of the things I want people to know is that I'm not just doing this to get out there and have something so I can make a bunch of hats. No.
Right.
Yeah.
They're egg busters, right?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that will eat more bird eggs and kill. They're number one besides skunks as far as predators go.
Yeah,
yeah. And skunks, I'm looking at putting them, but you never see them.
Yeah, they're really, really nocturnal. Coons you'll see out and about early in the morning, late in the evening. But I mean, it'd be cool.
Go sit at a bear bait.
Oh, I've sat at plenty.
Yeah,
I could have made many coon skin hats.
Yeah, the bear will come in with a raccoon pinned to a log.
Yeah, I've seen like upwards of 10 raccoons on my bear baits before.
Oh yeah, me too. But you know what I've seen? I've seen them start out as skinny little buggers, and then by the end of bear season, they're just as fat as a tick.
Yeah,
I fed them all season.
One thing I think that's been talked about a little bit, because I was thinking when we were talking about this about hound hunting, and I know that there's a few more people getting into that, which is great from any perspective. There's a lot of dog sports in the Maritimes, but certainly to see people get into that would be great. But what was I thinking of? I just kind of lost my train of thought there. The blood tracking.
Yeah.
For dogs. Is that something we're thinking more about now?
Yeah, it is. I got two things that I got to get around with it. One is how do you police it? It would have to be something where, you can't shoot a deer, come back to the camp, and after 6 or 7 Coors Light, grab old Gypsy, and run out going looking for the deer, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to have some strong parameters around it to make sure that guys just aren't running out to the woods with their whatever dog,
right,
looking for a deer, because the likelihood of pushing a deer is I'm concerned about pushing wounded deer. The other thing is bears.
But you're going to push a wounded deer if you're tracking it on foot too.
Well, see, that's where I would just go back to the camp, not go back in the morning. Now,
but that's the thing though. True, like my dog, in order to be bred, they all have to pass blood tracking tests. And true blood tracking is all done on a check cord. You do not let your dog run wild. That's all done on a check cord.
That's the big thing.
And it is a truly trained skill. It's not like you can't take any random dog out, put him on a blood trail, and it will trail the animal. It'll sniff it for a ways, and then it'll fall off if it's on lead. It is a trained skill for a dog and handler to do, and it's not easy. That's true proper blood tracking.
Well, see, that's the other thing, because when that originally came on, I was part of that thread for a bit on, I think it came on NB Hunters, and I was like, I think for hounds, I don't know what it is now, You could probably enlighten me on this, Mike, but I thought that it used to be that your hound had to be certified by the province somehow to coon hunt or cat hunt at night here. I thought that was a requirement, and I don't know how they did that. And I know, like, with waterfowl, like, I don't have to do that with my dogs, but at the same time, it is a little bit different. But in a way, I agree with you. You wouldn't just want to say, oh, you just take whatever dog you want to do and take it out in the woods.
At the end of the day, it's a lot like any type of hunting. I mean, what keeps anybody from shooting whatever they want and doing whatever they want?
No, you're right.
There has to be a level of trust and self-policing, you know, and I mean, people are honestly going to find out really quick that if you just take an untrained dog out to a blood trail and let it run wild, it's not going to track it down.
Not going to work.
That's not. So very few dogs have that instinct to do that.
Can you guys do me a favor then? At some point in the near future, I want to get my biological staff and some other people in my boardroom. Would you guys come down and let's have a chat about that?
Man, I will come down anytime, and I can put you in contact with professional blood trackers and all over North America if you want. Like I said, just through the Deutsch Strathaar breeding program, there's people that are professional paid blood trackers with their dogs. Like,
well, there's a lot of good associations.
Yep.
Here's the other thing, and this is just Mike sitting here asking these questions, not staff or anything. Y'all right coming up on a wounded black bear with your hound?
100%.
Okay, tell me more.
Why I'm okay with it?
Yeah, like you're not concerned about, you know, you could run into a little bit of a pickle there if you get him and he's not expired.
No,
you get into close quarters with him.
No, because like I said, the dog is on a check cord. I've blood tracked bears in Nova Scotia, not in New Brunswick. But yeah, I mean, when you blood track a bear with your dog on a check cord, the way it's done properly, if the bear is wounded, you're going to know it. It's going to hear you coming. It'll move. I mean, I've tracked probably in the hundreds of bears now with no gun, no nothing. And I've never even, well, I mean, I shouldn't say I've come close, but they're just so friggin' scared of you. Like, people think bears
They're not
a
grizzly.
Yeah, it's different than a grizzly bear. Yeah. Like, black bears are extremely afraid of people. I mean, the closest I ever came, we were blood tracking a bear and it was bleeding out. And I mean, it literally ran right between us. It took off. It was under a blowdown. And I mean, it just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah. I mean, you run that, you're going to run that risk. And part of that would be to have, because we don't, obviously, I mean, in a place like Maine where you can hunt bears with dogs, I think you can still do that.
Oh, yeah, you can hunt bears.
I mean, when you have that level of a dog that's looking to tree a bear, I mean, those dogs, they'll risk life or limb, and most of our dogs will anyway. But I think a lot of that comes back to the handler and being careful and not putting yourself or your dog in a position where you're like, oh, we'll just, like you said, let old Gypsy run free and watch them on the GPS.
And another thing about a trained blood tracking dog, it's like anything. When you're hunting grouse with a pointer, you can tell when a dog's getting birdie. Well, you can tell with a blood tracking dog when it's getting close to the game.
Okay.
And it would be, you know, any time that you do something like this, you hope that there's no accidents, right?
Oh, but I mean, it's like anything. It's a risk.
Because it looks bad. But that all being taken into account, certainly with waterfowl, this day and age, with the way that people allow their dogs to act during hunts, man, if there was ever anything that should require a certified trained dog somehow, it's that, because it's hard to watch sometimes.
And that's another thing too. What about outfitters say, like, when you're guiding clients, like, I'm legally not allowed to carry a gun to go track a bear.
I know.
Is that something that can be changed? I mean, that would be great.
You know what? I talked about that a couple years ago. Thank you for the reminder. I want to kick that into gear, because I know I've been in the woods with some guys before as a guide, and I was like, boys, I'm not very comfortable with this sport.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, and you guide bow hunters.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if they didn't
traditional bow hunters.
Trad guys, so.
Yeah. No, thanks for the reminder. You know what? Some stuff slips through the cracks. I'm going to bring that one back to the table, because I always felt like I think that we should be able to carry a sidearm, but
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No different than trapping, right? We talked about that for years
I know,
in trapping.
I know.
You know, it's
I'm not
crazy.
going to win. I'm not going to win that one in 8 months, but having a long gun, yeah, I think that's very legitimate. So I appreciate that.
I mean, it's safe, safer.
Oh,
you know?
It's a safety. Yes, exactly.
I mean,
exactly. So
I'm not saying I've done it here, but I mean, to be able to carry a gun is just because like you said, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, so far in the 16, 18 years I've guided bear hunters, I've, knock on wood, not had a single issue, but I mean, doesn't mean that the first time couldn't happen.
I haven't had an issue, but I've had heightened levels of anxiety.
Yeah.
More than once.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
I've had several pants shitting situations.
Yes. Yeah. So no, that'd be a good move. So two things. Back up. You guys are going to come down and we're going to have a conversation about hounds.
Yep.
And blood tracking.
Just you say when, because I can get you guys all the professional information you want, or put you in contact with people that do it basically for a living.
And maybe have some ideas about what their state or province allows or does, right? I mean, because if they have a model that seems to work, or they have a model and they say, oh, these would be the changes that should be made because of, it makes it a little easier on us.
George in on that.
Yeah, George Boyd in Nova Scotia would be a good one. Didn't he work for DNR at one time? I think he's retired DNR or something.
Retired DNR. Yeah, I think he's a retired conservation officer.
Yeah, he tracks with animals all the time. He actually was
he bans them.
He used to ban eider ducks with his dogs. They would they would find them, retrieve them, they would ban them, and then go back. Like, he did that for a lot of years. Pretty crazy.
Wow,
man.
I'll tell you.
I'll tell you something. One other thing too, if we're talking about eiders, before I forget. And I don't know how much input you would have on this, Mike, but I know that we do have an Atlantic Waterfowl Council that talks about a lot of these things. I don't know exactly who's involved in it. I've talked about it before that I would love to be involved, and now that I'm a member of the Guide and Outfitter Association and on their Waterfowl Council, maybe I'll have a better chance at getting a seat. But our eider seasons have changed. I know that a lot of that is federal, but as somebody that hunts sea ducks several times a year, and certainly during the February season, now we don't have a limit for eiders in the February season. And Barrow's Goldeneye is something that they would consider sort of endangered, but they give us a limit of one. And I just kind of feel like the fact that we don't have any limit in February, like for the amount of people that go out, we should be able to take one bird, because man, I've got lots of video proof from being over in Graham and Ann recently, and we saw thousands of eiders. The majority of what we saw were eiders, and I understand that there's a lot of talk and a lot of study about where the eiders are going and what's going on with them, and it's hard to do because, I mean, they live in a rough ocean. But I just think that to completely take, because we're always worried about the February season, right? We really look forward to that, and always kind of worry that they're just eventually going to say, oh, well, we don't really need that, right? And I mean, they have extended our season. The duck season is the maximum now, 107 days starting next year. But still, I would love to see one eider. Maybe you could even say one Drake eider on there would be awesome. And again, I don't know how much input we would have on that, or who makes those decisions as far as the province. But it's kind of sad.
I don't know, but I will know by the time you guys come to my boardroom.
Okay.
How's that?
So for topics here, I'll send formal emails for landowner information and Onyx, getting that coordinated. Blood tracking dogs, waterfowl guides taking more than 3 hunters, outfitters and guides being able to carry guns.
Love it.
That sounds correct. We'll get a formal, proper emails going on that.
That's about 8 months worth of work right there, wouldn't you say?
Boys, if you could do that in 8 months, that'd be something.
Yeah, those are all definitely things that have been on our mind. I mean, again, like I say, when we were in Graham and Ann just recently, it's a beautiful place, and when we certainly here on the mainland, like if you went to St. Andrews, things have changed since we used to go down there. Right? I mean, we don't see the eiders there that we have, but we know that on the eastern seaboard where they live and breed, that people are getting them in New England and Mass. Down.
They're still there, but
they're still there, but
they just shift around.
But when we went to Graham and Ann, we said, "How many eiders do you think we'll see tomorrow?" And he said, "Oh, I think we'll see at least 1,000." And I thought to myself, "Holy frig, really? Like we don't really see eiders like that anymore." And I'm here to tell you, he was not wrong. Like flock after flock after. I've we lots of video of eiders, and I was like, "Man, this is if we could have shot one eider, you know what I mean? It would have been." It's just a shame that we just have that taken away from us in that extra season. For it being a month-long season, I'm sure there's lots of research, and maybe they could explain that to me, but I just don't feel like we're going to decimate the population when it's just us here in New Brunswick.
Well, there's no hunters in February.
Right. Nova Scotia's not doing a February season. It's just ours, and it's very sort of near and dear to our hearts that we can go out in February, because I know a lot of other people are like, wow, that's eiders especially are such a sought after bird, and on an outfitting perspective as well, like it would offer another opportunity. So because I mean king eiders for sure, people are paying huge money to go get them, and eiders in general now, people are, especially where
like
they're
on the West Coast, to go shoot king eider and harlequin. Holy crap.
Like huge.
You got to have yourself a thick bank account.
And I mean, you're not going to, let's be honest, that's super regional. You're not going to be in Saskatchewan shooting limits of eiders. They're just not around, right?
That's right.
It's very true to us.
As good as I am on the camp grill, I can't make them taste good, no matter what.
And the key to those suckers is barely cook them. Basically, slice it super thin, sear it on each side, and eat it.
Yeah, wrap it enough bacon and cream cheese that you're like, is there duck in that?
There's also that too. You put enough other ingredients in there, you can make anything taste good.
Yeah.
So. Oh, jumpets.
But that's all I had on my mind as far as things. I'll like I said, we'll start formal emails on that, and especially the blood tracking and landowner information is two really key points. I mean,
these are great.
Guides and outfitters carrying guns is, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time without a gun. I like an adrenaline rush, so I'm not huge, but
it's just that kind of comes down to just ethics of if we're trying to
go try to find a friggin' black bear that doesn't bleed.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I've seen guys make incredible shots. Watch the video, and it's like, that's a dead bear. And then what do? You can't find it because the fat plugs the hole. They don't bleed, and then.
Or if you do find it and it is still alive, you just want things to be done.
Yeah.
Right. We're trying to. Yep. We want to dispatch.
Well, you talk about the ethics of it, and it's happened to all of us. And there's no more lonely, gut wrenching walk back to the camp as not having that animal. Man.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, if you hunt long enough, it's going to happen. Doesn't matter how good of a shooter you are, you're going to miss. You're going to wound animals. That's not what we want. That's not the objective, but it's eventually going to happen.
And having a well-trained dog to track that down, man, is an unbelievably valuable asset.
Well, I think, again, if we put it on like the bird end of things, I mean, that's why we can train with birds. That's why we train our dogs to help us find and locate game to shoot, and then when we do shoot it, if it does get away or whatnot,
I mean,
it's more efficient, right?
Well, it's why we don't shoot a full limit of birds, because sure as shit our dogs are going to run around and find a duck that was hiding in the corn stubble that we didn't see.
That's right.
That's right.
The law and the government, I guess, and the powers that be kind of have always seen them as a conservation tool, and they are, right. A well-trained dog is a conservation tool,
and that's the key. Well-trained
in any aspect. And I mean, look, the rabbit hole we could go down with there. Yeah. In my line of work, Mike, I mean, I'm teaching diabetic service dogs right now. You want to see things that are unbelievable. I mean, most people are pretty impressed with a dog that will sit, but what about a dog that can tell you when your sugar's high or your sugar's low, and like, hey, I'm alerting you. This is what it is, right? Or
it's incredible. So the question I have is, can you guys take our 7-month-old half border collie, half black lab and turn it into a hunting dog?
Matt could definitely do that.
you definitely could. You definitely could on the lab end of things.
No guarantee on what caliber a hunting dog. But.
Yeah, depending on what you want, but definitely you've got two breeds there that are very hard workers, and
prey drive.
Yeah, prey drive,
and are super smart.
And I mean, a border collie can't not be trained. I mean, they're just a dog that has to be worked with, and the level of intensity there in most any border collie is, off the scales.
Yeah.
Unreal how smart they are.
Well, when you're walking around thinking I got something on 4 legs, it's smarter than me walking around on 2.
Yep.
I like, there's got to be something I can do with this dog.
Yeah.
Well,
there's got to be something.
And we I said this fall. I mean, working dogs love to work, and most dogs, not all of them now, because there's lots of designer dogs out there, but most dogs came from a background of work, right?
Yeah.
They have a job, and they're bred to do that job. So when they come out of the womb, like a Labrador Retriever knows that it wants to, when it smells a duck, 1,000 years of its ancestors are screaming at it, you should go find that and pick it up, right? Or a border collie knows that for some reason when you're walking around the house, or there's another animal, or there's a small person around, that they need to bring them back to a certain area. They need to herd them, right? So any of those dogs just absolutely thrive on work. And I said this fall, that when we go hunting, like, as much as I absolutely love and live for it, I think that I love and live for it more than anything, but I don't like it or love it as much as my dog does.
Oh, well, like that, my dog's sitting here right now molesting my wife, and I mean, there's nothing that dog likes more in the world than to go hunt, like, period.
Yeah.
He hunts every single day, no matter what.
So I think that done properly, and if the blood tracking was going to be a thing, if there was sort of a group or an association that could help people do it properly and do it the right way, and kind of encourage
even make
people.
it so they got to be certified. I mean, on game.
Yeah,
there
I mean,
needs to be testing, and there needs to be accountability.
There should. I mean, a test is not a bad thing, and I'm sure there's other places that do it, because people should be held accountable. Yeah. They really should. I mean, if you get upset about it, your dog should be trained.
Yeah.
We don't.
Or proof of tracking, like I said, his breeding papers. His testing is all right there, and his scores, and where he's passed blood tracking and everything.
Who doesn't want a dog that's better behaved and does the job better? I mean, we don't bring a dog to the field to hunt waterfowl so that we can have something to holler at. That's it's supposed to be an addition to the hunt, right? It's supposed to be efficient and go out there and do its thing and pick up your birds and find them when they're down in the bushes. And if you're going to have a blood tracking dog, that's what it should be too, Yeah. It should be an animal that knows its job, knows what to do, and effectively helps you find down game and saves you more game. No different than a waterfowl hunting dog or an upland dog, right? They conserve game.
I mean, I think one of the best analogies I could probably put this for somebody, as far as the blood tracking of shot or wounded game goes, to take your dog untrained out on a blood track would be the equivalent of taking an untrained Labrador waterfowl hunting and expect it to retrieve birds and bring them back to hand perfectly, or to take an English pointer out upland hunting and expect it to point birds perfectly.
And that's not the point, because
But that's the equivalent, though.
Yeah,
like, people
right.
think, like, you're not going to take a dog out just because it's a wiener dog or a tracking dog and let it go and it's going to track a bear.
That's
perfect.
right. It needs to be.
There is a lot of training to it.
It needs to be trained,
Absolutely.
and it's much more safe. I mean, to take an untrained dog to the field where there's shots going off is a liability. It's not an addition to the hunt. I mean, if you're a dog, if you have, like you said, one of those wiener dogs or wire-haired wiener dog or one of these Drathars or any type of tracking hound that's bred to do that job and comes from good bloodlines, and you
comes in training.
Yeah, and you train that dog to do that job, you're going to save animals. Yeah. That are shot. You're going to find animals that you never would have found without that dog.
But, like, if you take even one of him, I mean, these dogs are literally just bred to hunt, period. If you take an untrained dog for blood tracking out, even one of these guys, they're not going to track it down. They just don't, because they haven't been trained to. And I think I think there's probably a lot of concerns there that people are going to be just letting their dogs run at large and going wild, and they're going to be chasing animals. But I mean, they're just not. You're going to let your dog go on a blood trail, and it's just going to stand there, or it's going to run around and start sniffing squirrels and stuff like.
Yeah, it should be. It's when you're looking for down game. That's the point. Your dog should be on a leash because you don't, exactly like you said, Mike. You're not trying to push game. If the animal is actually still alive and your dog is on a leash, well, then you can, if you decide that either you're gonna shoot it or you're gonna back out and bail out. Okay, well then you can re-pick the track, and especially if you've got a good tracking dog. I mean, 24, 48 hours. They're good. They're good.
A good tracking dog is such a valuable asset.
Yeah,
but like I said, I can get you in contact with people that do it.
But it's got to be done right. It has to be done right.
Boys, we're gonna have a pretty good meeting about this, I think.
Definitely. You say when, man. I'm jumping on board with as much stuff as I can jump on board with to get things done here and help out as much as I possibly can and put people in contact with people I might know that can help out.
Well, I got 8 months left in the job.
Yeah.
We got to go hammer down. We got to finish strong.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the work begins on the next chapter. So you make sure that I can still come on these podcasts afterwards.
Oh, Frig, yes.
For sure. Love to have you, man.
Hey, we don't have you on here because you're the Minister of Natural Resources. We got you on here because you're Mike Holland, our buddy.
Well, and we got work to do, and that work still needs to be done. So,
yeah, for sure. But definitely for sure, it needs to be said again. The things that you've done since you've been in there, and we all understand that it's an incredibly tough job, and you have to make unpopular decisions at times, and it puts you in a tough spot. And to have somebody in there that we feel is certainly no different than us, and go in there and make all the changes you've made, it's just a true showing to your personality, and I think that we're all just real proud of you for everything that you've done.
Yeah, definitely.
Certainly means a lot to us, and I know a lot of our youth. And, we definitely sing your praises lots about all the things that have happened that wouldn't have happened because they would have rocked the boat or, taken a chance that somebody might not like me or, so, there's not just one thing. It's just so many things that have happened. That's just, when you finally leave, you're going to leave on a high note. People aren't going to forget you. That's for sure.
No, you've made a long-lasting impact, man. You really have.
Well, I appreciate that from you guys. Like I said, I've always held you guys in the highest level of respect. We've always been a part of the group that's going to make changes. We are doing it in different venues, and one thing's for sure is we ain't going to stop.
Yeah, absolutely, brother.
Man. No, that's right.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, always reaching.
Right on.
Anyone else have anything to add to the conversation, or are we good?
Did you have anything on your wish list, Ben?
Yeah.
On my wish list for what Mike could do? I just loved what you said about the communication stuff. And I mean, that is what I do. And I would love for the opportunity, and Wes and I have even talked about this, just to go around to other outfitters, because like we said, it's what we do here and what we do at large and what you've been able to do over the last few years is really put other people first and have the community come together in unity and together to be able to forward each other. And it would be great from a communication standpoint to be able to produce some stuff. I mean, the Minister of Agriculture is doing great things. I know Margaret personally, and she's doing incredible things for that sector. And I'd love to see you put your face out there even more to be able to put some videos together or some comms content before you leave to be able to say, here's where I made my mark. Here's some outfitters that are doing great. And here's some guys that really up and comers maybe that you don't know yet that are really doing incredible things in any sector of hunting, trapping, whatever. And I think that's a really cool opportunity to be able to utilize social media like you have, but like you've never done before, to a secondary level, to be able to show off and with a last hurrah, say, here's what I did, here's my stamp of approval, moving forward.
That's a good idea, like a Mike Holland legacy video.
Yeah, just take a week and just go, especially in the off season, you take some time and really interview some guys and talk to some guys that are doing, guys and gals that are doing incredible things in the industry.
As you should, because people love to not have to read things. right?
Man, I love video.
Right.
I don't read shit.
Yeah,
I video everything.
So
learn everything.
Short videos about those things, so people are more aware. Because I can tell you, I hope that the next person that comes into that seat has the same type of fire and same type of want to further what you've done, and use you as what you've said, that they can lean on you a bit and continue to move forward. But they've definitely got some boots to fill, man.
Oh, man, and we're definitely going to do everything we can to give them the confidence they need to keep things progressing.
Yeah. But we're heading in the right direction.
We are. Yeah, we are. So, Ben, you jump in with the boys and come down for that meeting.
Definitely.
We can talk about that, too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Ben's got a young baby and and another young son, so I mean his time's not as free as ours, but
100 animals at home.
But we do try to drag him into as much stuff as we can.
We'll make time.
If you can't make her there, we'll go to you one way or the other. I love that idea.
That's a good idea, man. Like we got lots of good ideas, and we've got the ambition to get them going.
Okay, well, you know what? We were doing this podcast about wrapping up, but it sounds like we still got work to do. I love it.
Absolutely, man. The work's never done. This is just part 2, and
part 2 in 9 months. We'll do part 2 in 9 months.
Well,
this is accomplished.
Yeah.
This is part 2. Part 3's coming up in 9 months.
All right.
And we'll see where we are in 9 months, man. All right, on.
Love it.
Good talking
guys,
to you.
Appreciate your time, 100%. I love talking with you guys. You always get into some cool subjects, and I really love what you're doing with the show, and it's so grassroots, and I just love turning on the TV, seeing guys I've known for a long time doing what they love.
That's same with you, man. It's been fun to watch you do your thing in the political world.
We got to get me out for some catch and release shooting, though.
We will do that for sure. We'll make a point of actually getting a hold of you, getting in touch, and making sure that
done deal. Let's do it.
We drag your ass up here, man.
All right, I'm in. Sounds
right on,
good.
brother. Good talking to you.
Take her easy, guys.
Right.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
See ya.
Well, that's a fine talk.
Yeah. That was the Honourable Mike.
The Honourable Mike Holland right there, man. I mean, the guy has done a hell of a job. I'm so glad to have been a part of that.
There's very few politicians now that you see. Like, there's a few out of the States, but the States is so big that you see the good apples and the bad apples alike, whereas in Canada, I mean, you've got a lot of squeaky wheels, but very few that are out of the ordinary, like Mike, and doing stuff on a small scale for small provinces like New Brunswick to be able to further things like hunting. You see the opposite quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it's devastating at times to see what some people are pushing agenda-wise, but it's nice to have the opposite, to be able to go back to our roots.
Yeah.
Mike's amazing.
Well, and to go in there and have ideas of, I'm going to do this, and this, and actually do them.
And
more.
Accomplish it,
You know, is really something. I mean, because government is not easy to move things through. And, you know, he got the right team around him. He was driven. He's always been a hard charger. So that's what you need. Somebody that's obviously passionate and understands it. That's the big thing, right? If you take that seat and you don't actually participate in a lot of this, or don't have good memories of doing this stuff, then you wouldn't be as passionate about it.
Well, and he went into this not as a job, like, okay, man, I'm in here, this is my job, I'm going to make good money, get a good pension. He went into it, this was his passion, was to better New Brunswick and the outdoors here, every aspect of it. Because it became his passion, and it was more like a hobby to the way he did things, and it was like a job, or I got to go to work and collect my paycheck, I got to do this and meet with what. Like, he actively went after it, and he did it like he loved it. And I think he did. I mean, he made a lot of incredible changes here.
Well, and it speaks to his ability to be able to lead and delegate too, because he's only one man, right? You only have 24 hours in a day, so to be able to empower, like you said about DNR being just charged up for what they want to do now, and conservation officers just loving their job.
Well, one of the nicest things I ever saw, like, was at that Guides and Outfitters AGM or whatever, at the banquet before, like, the auction and the dance and stuff. Like, he did his thing, and then he said, look, I can't do anything that I've done here without my team. And he pointed out his team out in the crowd and got them to stand up, and like they got a big standing ovation. It's like, you know, I mean, that's the kind of guy Mike is, though, right? Like, he doesn't stand there, I did this, I did that. It's like, I'm just the guy that kind of suggested the things, and like these are the guys that got it done. These are the people that kept my shit together. That's like basically what he said in a nutshell. You know?
And knowing that, you know, like we talked about, a lot of the stuff that you're going to do when he's talking about outfitting for whitetails, like that would be a dream.
Could you imagine?
For the outfitting industry to be able to finally have a huntable population of trophy whitetails, enough so that people are like, hey, I'd like to go to New Brunswick.
Well, people can't believe it. Like I do get a lot of calls, actually, people wanting to come here whitetail hunting as an outfitter, and I'm just like we got nothing.
Yeah, there's
like I couldn't
the opportunity
in good conscience charge you for a deer hunt up here. It's like, really?
Yeah,
because they want to come to New Brunswick, they want to shoot a great big northern Canadian whitetail.
Yeah,
and it's like, you know what, we just don't have many.
And a lot of being a real conservationist, a lot of times is doing work that you won't see the benefit of, really. Like if we're talking about forests, and, you know, all our woodlands and things like that, like these things that you put in, the kickback on them isn't immediate like we're used to nowadays. And I think that says a lot. You know, we're trying to make a difference by getting the youth involved and letting them participate at
12 years old
at a younger age. Like they've been.
Could you have ever imagined that would happen here in this?
No,
province?
They've been doing that in the States for years, and I'm like, man, I wish we could do that here, because our things are changing so much in our youth, and they need to be outside, and they need to experience nature, and they want to participate. They more than just going, you know, and. That just things like that are huge, right? And then we need to protect our forests better. We need to make it a priority to look at the wildlife we have and our deer wintering areas and how we're treating our forests. Yes, we have jobs there, and we need to feed the machine, like he said, but we still need to say, okay, what's changed here? How do we treat our forests? Like, we got to get it back to what it was. When game thrived here, you know, when there was huntable populations of woodland caribou here and all kinds of moose around and lots of deer, like, you know.
No, it's nice, man. I mean, Matt, we've been at this for a long time. I mean, could you imagine 10 years ago just finishing a conversation with a minister of natural resources and having this kind of a conversation?
That would be the thing that I would say that I couldn't imagine, was having this type of conversation.
Let alone an hour and a half on a Sunday.
On a
Super Bowl Sunday.
On a Sunday. That's it. Yeah. We'll get a meeting with you.
Yeah,
maybe.
Exactly.
Who are a what? A podcast?
A podcast?
Yeah, I don't know.
Waterfowl. What are you bird watchers or?
Yeah, and you know what? To be fair to those ministers from the past, like, we never reached out to them. But at the same time,
well, we've reached out to some levels of government and just never even got a reply.
Yeah, we have, but they sure as shit weren't on Facebook taking punches and changing laws and making things better for everybody, you know. And again, you're putting yourself in a position there where not everybody's going to like you.
Yeah.
And it takes a certain special type of person to do that. But
and man, that idea of making like a video, like a Mike Holland tribute, that's a wicked idea. And that's something that you could really do well.
Well, he should be recognized for that, because you know, that's never happened before.
No, man. He's made I know we're still in it, and he's still the man. But I mean, I know that when we're 80 years old, like you look 30 years down the road, we're still going to be talking about, man, do you remember when Mike Holland was in office?
And again, I mean,
like,
we want everybody to have an opportunity here. We've seen the change in how things have declined in some areas, and we need to make it better.
Yeah.
You know, I want my kids, my great-grandkids, to be able to thrive here, and possibly even have a future in the outfitting and guiding industry here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
like when Gramp guided, it was thick people coming here from New England.
Man.
It was just the place to go. You want to go fishing, you want to go deer hunting, like he made a living off of that.
I know.
He would take all his vacation and made a living. There was several outfitters down around those lakes.
Even if I guided for absolutely everything that you can possibly guide and be successful at here, and cabin rentals, I still can't make a living here, really.
Yeah.
Or not a great one, you know. Like,
well, to get everybody together again, in the Guide and Outfitters Association and get everybody on the same page. And
I
say,
wish
okay,
both you guys could have been here to that meeting.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I was planning to be there. I was snipped that week. So.
Me too. I had a figure skating competition.
But, I mean, the energy in that place was on another level.
Well, we've just severely undervalued ourselves.
Yeah.
And it took me getting out of here to realize that. Like yes, we're not Alberta, I get that. But the level of clientele that was willing to come to Canada, like Canada's
we're New Brunswick. People should say that.
Canada's like the last frontier,
yeah.
And we get overlooked a lot, and we have a lot of value here. Our game has a lot of value to us and value to other people. It's time to promote it.
Yeah. Man, I've been across both countries, Canada and the U.S., and, I mean, there's some beautiful places out there, but we've got some beautiful places here. But I'll tell you one thing that nobody has is the frickin' people.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to live out west.
And the natural diversity.
And the diversity here, man. Like, everything. Like, that's what the biggest thing that we said about if we were to ever move, there's no diversity. Like, here, you can, I mean, the amount of things you can see in nature here, different types of trees and different lays of land in one province.
Yep.
Like you don't get that anywhere else.
In a half day's drive, you can see a lot of different stuff here.
From the ocean to the center of the woods where there's.
We used to say it all the time. Like we could literally shoot ducks and geese in a cornfield here in the morning and drive 2.5 hours and shoot eiders.
Yeah, on the friggin' ocean.
On the Bay of Fundy.
Or Bay of Fundy, yeah. No, it's an amazing place, and the people and the hospitality here are absolutely second to none, and that's been my experience.
No question.
And I think there's something to be said about the last few years that it's tickled people's brains, their primal brain, to be able to realize that we are a tribal species, and we really want to go back to, hey, it triggered COVID and everything that happened throughout the last 3 years. Really triggered in people, hey, we have survival instincts.
Yeah,
and what that goes back to is hunting, is trapping, is like at the end of the day, do you know how to survive?
Yeah.
Do you have survivability when it comes to things get shut down, there's no food? Can you hunt a deer? Can you hunt a bear?
Yeah.
Do you know how to do it safely? Do you know how to do it to be able to not make yourself sick while killing that animal and butchering that animal? And it's something that's really cool to be able to learn. Goodness, I started, 30 years old is when I got started hunting and getting into trapping. And it's been a cool experience that I wish I had the last 30 years.
Look at the year you've had.
Oh, my goodness.
You've had an incredible year.
Lucky.
Well, and
it's been so fun.
When we think about that, you're absolutely right. I mean, how dependent do you want to be? How do you feel when the power goes out? How dependent are you? How
totally fine.
How self-sufficient are you? Like, if you run out of gas, like how self-sufficient are you? Do you have things that you can eat? Are you going to be okay? And then when it comes down to actual killing of game or your own farm animals or things like that, I think what that really comes down to is morality. Like, who's more moral? The person that's not holding the axe but allows somebody else to do that? Or is it you that's going to go out and take ownership for, I want to go out and get my own meat, or I'm going to raise my own beef or my own pork?
And that's exactly why we got into farming.
And I'm gonna know what I'm eating. Maybe it's not gonna be much cheaper, but I'm gonna know what I'm putting in my body, and I'm gonna look after that myself. And we did that for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do that, that's okay. But there's a lot of us that still do.
Yeah. Don't shit on us just because that's the way we.
Yeah. And it's not about the fact that we're some sort of killers or something like that.
But we are, quite literally.
We are, but at the end of the day, I mean, you want to know what you're eating. You want to be the person that's responsible for what's on your plate. And I think, again, the question there comes down to, well, that's not moral to do something like that. Okay. Well, we can farm that out to somebody else to allow them to. I'm still going to eat meat, but I'm not going to do that.
Gun.
And regardless of what soapbox you want to stand on nowadays, if you step foot on this earth on a daily basis, you are responsible. You have to take accountability for the fact that you disrupt nature by living and breathing every single day, no matter what you...
Driving the roads we do.
No matter what you want to put in your body or how you want to navigate throughout this earth, you have a responsibility for that. You're taking the lives of animals, whether you're... Again,
past, present, or future.
Yep. Again, whether you're holding the axe or not on the chopping block, you are responsible.
And that's really why we got into agriculture to begin with. And I have a post on Instagram I posted a couple weeks ago that really got vegans and people in that culture really mad. But the reason was I know I've been in these slaughterhouses and I've worked with people who kill animals for a living.
Yep.
And I want to know that it was done humanely, that they weren't terrified. Because what happens is they get taken from their home. They get taken to the slaughterhouse, which that's what they have to do, to a registered slaughterhouse. They get killed there. But in the meantime, they're there watching their friends disappear. It's one by one, counting them down. And if they're the last one, they're terrified. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
They don't have the sentience we do, but we want to know that somebody told me once that when they keep animals, their animals have one bad day, if you could call it that.
Yeah.
My animals eat better than me. Yeah. They're treated better than me some days. Yeah. But they have one bad day when they get a bullet or they get a knife. And that's the end.
But they don't even...
And it's quick. They have no idea.
They don't even know what you're doing.
Yeah. Even their belly's probably full at that moment, that they are full and happy and they were loved right up until they are gone.
And I want... And personally, like, I'm not going to own that with everything I do. I do buy some meat, for sure. But a lot of it, I want to own that.
Oh,
that's on me. That's how we were designed.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of what you believe in, there's a reason that some of the time we're smarter than they are.
Yeah.
And we can actually eat them. But again, regardless of what soapbox you want to stand on nowadays, you are not removed. If you're a vegan, if you're an anti-hunter, that's okay if you want to feel like that. But you cannot tell me that you are not responsible.
Unless you want to go move to the rainforest and live naked with the monkeys.
Yeah.
Even still, as soon as you step your foot down, you're manipulating nature in some way, shape, or form. And you are eventually going to be, you're going to have to take the responsibility or the reason that something loses its life.
Or you're going to lose your own life.
Yeah. No, I don't.
There's no way around
I don't hunt. I don't eat meat. I don't farm animals. I don't agree with those things. Okay. Where do you live? Yeah. Do you think anything lost its life
to build your house?
To build the building that you live in, or to when you were driving around in the car that you're in? It doesn't matter whether it's an electric car or what. I mean, we could go on about that for days. You are responsible. So you either take responsibility for it,
take ownership,
and ownership. That's what it comes down to. Or you just try to cut down those who actually are the ones holding the axe. Yeah. And again, it doesn't matter to me if that post, I watched that and I'm like, I could get real deeply invested in this. But I'm like, I'm not going to change their mind, and that's all right.
Yeah.
But don't slam my cupboards and tell me that I'm not a moral person or that I don't have any ethics.
Well, you can't even talk logic with vegans.
I'm taking ownership for my part in how I disrupt nature and what I put in my body. You're not.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself.
You can't even talk sense with them. That was years ago. That used to be one of my hobbies, was trolling vegan Facebook groups.
You and your dad both.
Yeah, and I mean, I even asked the question in all legitimacy, like seriousness, not trying to belittle them. Like, can I eat eggs? Can I eat roadkill? What if a car hits a friggin' deer? Can I go eat that deer?
Yeah.
And some of them argued no, like they're just insane. And then some of them were, well, yeah, I mean. Yeah,
that's the thing.
And I can understand the bleeding heart aspect of it, like from a care point of view. If you love animals to the point where you cannot imagine one getting hurt or dying, like, okay, remove yourself.
Yeah.
But that can't affect everybody around you,
especially
biologically. I mean, I know a lot of people who were Nicole, my wife, was vegan for 10 years, not for a moral standpoint, but just from a health point of view.
Yeah.
And she noticed the last 5 years of her being vegan, her health started to decline.
Right.
And she was like, what can I do? She started reintroducing eggs and chicken. And then finally, now, goodness, she went out shooting with us last year.
Yeah.
And so now it's to a point where she's completely back on meat and she feels so much better. And some people just cannot thrive on plants alone. It just does not work that way.
Our bodies are not designed that way.
I mean, I just watched a thing on Netflix about that, and I was like, man, you know, depending on how you took this documentary, they would really make you feel bad about eating meat. But again, when you talk about taking an animal's life and how it makes you feel, it's a strange thing to try and explain to somebody how you could love and respect the creatures that we're after, but also pull the proverbial trigger.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Kill them and eat them.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that we hate those things.
No.
It doesn't mean that we don't have empathy for those things, because we do. But you have to, and that's always been a disconnect that I haven't really heard anybody explain it well yet. If you know, you know. If you're not involved, it's tough to explain in any way, shape, or form, whether that's homesteading and animals that you raise and that you're around and that are a staple on the farm. You know why they're there. It doesn't mean that you don't care for those animals. You love those animals, like you said, Ben. I mean, those animals get the absolute best of care, you know. Yeah. And not because it's like, oh, well, you know, we procure this animal for the meat and, you know, we give them a good life because of. No, I mean, we genuinely want them to have good care. Mm-hmm. But
most
at the end...
most hunters that I know love animals.
Oh, yeah. You have that empathy, but there definitely is, you know, and I just chalk it up to, it doesn't matter what you believe, but
it's opening your mind.
For me, it's divine design. It's just the way that we were designed to have empathy, but we were also designed to kill and eat. That is it.
Yeah.
That is it.
And a prime example of that for me with regards to agriculture was the way that we keep our rabbits. I felt terrible keeping them in cages. So I constantly was trying to get them out on grass, and then I noticed that either A, they would get out or something would get in. And if something gets in, it's going to kill my entire population. So now I keep them in cages for their sake, so I can keep them alive, happy, and healthy. And it may look, especially this time of year, kind of nasty where they live, but it's how I keep them alive. It's how I keep them safe. Yeah. Otherwise, nature is not so
forgiving.
Circle
of life's going to get them.
Yeah, exactly.
Nature is absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
And again, doesn't matter what you believe in.
I'll tell you, if you've seen a video of
something designed nature, get on that Nature is Metal page.
If you've seen a coyote rip a fawn out of a doe deer, her belly, nature has no boundaries.
No,
they do not have feelings.
There's
people think they have
no feelings or empathy.
No,
that way, no.
None. So
we'll gladly eat you alive from the back forward.
They will. 100%. It's brutal.
Well, that's just sad.
Yeah. Well, let's end it on that now.
Yep. Yeah. Good
anyway,
podcast. Thanks for coming, Ben. It's good to have you on. Got to get on here more.
Hoping to. Even if it's a phone call, we can do that from my office.
We can get a call in.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to have you on. They don't always have to. We've been podcasting for a while now, but
I'd like to have talks too about what's going on in the future.
Yeah, for sure. We'll save that for another one.
We'll be producing some stuff. What I want to do, what my next step is to put together for people who haven't seen Northeast Untamed, my learning experience of how to hunt this year. If you haven't seen it yet, I want people to be able to see it as a big documentary. I want to put it together.
That would be really cool, yeah.
So if I can put it together as a longer series to be able to cut out some of the long-winded parts and be able to cut it together as a 60-minute film and put it out there for people, because I know a lot of people either don't have Wild TV or haven't been able to watch it, so to get it out there will be great. And hopefully that'll be in the next month or so. And
that sounds like a freaking Netflix or History Channel.
Well, it's exciting because there's more stuff that we're working on and going to be working on to be able to put out more content. Mm-hmm. And you may see Matt and Wes putting out more stuff on their personal channels because we want to really show off this way of life. And like Mike was saying, that it's important for us to be all united to be able to promote this. And it's not something we're in for ourselves. It's to be able to promote the sport, a sport that not a lot of people respect as much as they should. And it's something that I'm growing to love and learn and figure out everything from ice fishing to waterfowl and big game hunting, sitting in a blind for hours and hours and hours.
How'd you like the deer hunting?
It was fun. When I got the deer, there's a behind the scenes story that we'll have to talk about sometime, but I was sick before that and I could not breathe because you had to be quiet. And I, of course, had the sniffles. And the whole time I was just trying not to sniffle.
But just imagine, so you did one day.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
There are guys like Matt's brother and Jason McLean that do that for a whole friggin' season, for a month.
No.
To squeeze the trigger once.
Nope.
Like,
deer hunting's so
and they're not sitting in a nice big blind with a comfortable chair.
Oh, yeah.
They're sitting in a tree stand or whatever. Like, it is so not for me. But that's a whole
Those guys just have a real passion for that. And when you talk to guys like Scott and Jason, they're consistently successful every year. Like, they just know. And in an area where they shouldn't be, but they are, you know.
Yeah. But, man, the amount of time they got to put in and
it's a way of life for them.
Like
waterfowl and upland is for you and I. Like that's their jam.
It just takes a different type of personality.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but I know being a hyperactive person, like, it is not for me.
No.
Man, when I started waterfowl hunting, I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah. That's definitely
Where's this been all my life?
Jam.
Like, that was the key. And same with upland hunting, man. I love hunting with my dogs. It's my priority. And just the action, man. I want to move. I want to see things and do things and shoot my gun. And I don't care if it's a friggin' woodcock or whatever, right? Like, it's as much fun to me or more than sitting for a month to shoot a deer. Anyway.
But yes, there will be more content coming soon to a channel, streaming service, something near you.
Yes. Lots of things in the works.
Sounds good. Keep an eye out.